So this is one of the best ways to buy a property in California. I'm an attorney and a broker, and I've been working with buyers and sellers for a long time. And I believe buyers want to maintain the most flexibility possible. As we've already said in the series, you want to find out from the listing agent if there's other offers on the property, if they're working with buyers, or is the agent going to get paid if you're unrepresented? There's a series of questions that you want to find out before you make commitments to a buyer's agent or a listing agent. There's reasons to want to work with the listing agent because if the listing agent wants you to buy the property, maybe you'll get it on better terms. Maybe they'll help you craft an offer the seller will accept. So you want to have very good relationship with the listing agent. But at the same time, there are reasons that people want to work with buyer's agents, and it's usually to be protected. So I have agents in my office who work as buyer's agents. So I'm not anti-buyer agent. I'm for using it at the right time. So right now, there's multiple variations of different strategies, but these are the two that I really like. It's don't be unrepresented with the listing agent. One of them is don't be unrepresented, be represented by the listing agent. Many listing agents, like when I've sold properties, I'm like, I don't want to work with the buyer if I've already contracted with the seller, so I could pre-negotiate buyer agent commission with the seller, but that's not going to get me the listing right now. That just seems greedy. So you kind of leave that out. And that leaves you saying, I will be working with these buyers as unrepresented because I didn't really. I was like, I had buyers calling me up who were interested in the property. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to charge you money because I'm not going to go back and do that to my seller. So I'm happy to work with you and help you sell the property, but I'm not going to be charging anybody, anything. Because they thought they could get advantage of me. And I'm like, I don't have it. I didn't make that arrangement ahead of time. And that a lot of ethical listing agents are going to have that problem. So if you're working with an attorney, and we'll work for a low flat fee because if I don't have to show the properties, if I don't have to be the Uber driver, I love doing real estate. And if we're doing it in a very efficient time manner, I'm going to be able to help you probably protect you better and charge you so much less than a normal buyer's agent. However, if you do want to work with a buyer's agent, we have buyer's agents in our network all over California. And Phil, who sold over 400 properties, works with me in my office. He's a tremendous buyer's agent. So we have buyer's agents. But I'd say the most flexible way to start out is with an attorney because there's times you're going to want to work with a listing agent. And there's other times you're going to want to work with a buyer's agent especially if they're doing a lot of work and showing you a lot of properties. And then there's maybe the second best model, and it could be the first for some people. And that would be to go in with a buyer's agent who's working for less than 3%. Let's say you identify the properties, you were keeping the amount of work the buyer's agent was doing, carting you around, or myself, and you're like, I'd like to go in and offer $1 million for the property and ask for 3%, negotiate on that basis, but in the end, I'd like to then reduce the purchase price by that 2%, only pay you 1%. Or if you're working with me as an attorney, an attorney can do everything a realtor can do, except I can't do it as a percentage basis. So if you're working with me as an attorney, I do it for a flat fee. If you're working with me or one of the agents in my office, so if I'm working a broker, we could do that as a percentage. But the point is that the right way to buy a home would be to go in negotiate on price, ask for buyer agent compensation. The listing agent and the seller can negotiate buyer agent compensation or negotiate price, but you're negotiating on two fronts. Presumably, you're going to get you could get a better net to you in the end if you go in and have two negotiating fronts. So let's say you wind up getting 2.5% for your buyer agent commission, and you had you got it at a slightly more advantageous price. And then in the end, you're like, okay, so you sign the agreement. You're like, well, I'm going to pay the buyer agent myself, or I'm going to, could we just reduce the home by the price of the home by 1.5%, and I'll just pay my buyer agent 1%. I'd like to save on the property taxes too. 99% of the time, in fact, I haven't heard of any time where a seller didn't agree to that. So one of the best strategies, if you're working with a buyer's agent, is to start with a full price buyer agent offer, and then know that you can get, the property and the price down to 1%. That tremendous deal. Now, maybe 1.5%. I mean, depending on how much the agents are doing. But even if it was just 1%, you were using that to put in new floors or something, might be a great way to work. So my name is John McConnon. That's the ways to work when it's great. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you about the way to buy your dream home, the best home in the neighborhood, the homes that other people are also going to be buying. Like everyone recognizes this is one of those great homes. If you want to buy one of those homes, and they're available, they're for sale, and I think they're going to be. This is the type of market. There's a little bit more of a buyer's market. This is the time to buy the best homes in the neighborhood. I'm going to talk to you about that this is going to be a little bit longer video. It's going to be 6 or 10 minutes long. At the moment, I'm not planning to put that one on the net. I'm going to put it into the Homebuyer series, which is going to be at listingattorney.com/homebuyer. After I do it, which I'm going to do it next or tomorrow, I'm going to put it in there, and eventually I might put it up on the net. But don't worry, we're going to have other videos in this video series up on the net soon. My name is John McConnon. Thank you for watching the video series. You can always talk to us. We're friendly. Phil wouldn't have sold over 400 homes if people didn't like talking to him on the phone. So when you call my office, you might get Phil. If I'm not busy, I'll pick up too. And we can talk to you about what your goals are and how to accomplish them. And then if we're on the same page, we can work together. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.